Ingrid Sullivan. I'm a real estate agent by trade, and I'm a right-sizing expert. My partner, who's out running a quick errand right now, John Sullivan, is also a real estate agent and a right-sizing expert. And in the back here at this table, Debbie, put your hand up. Debbie Ford is the operations manager on our team. And Debbie's responsible for all the handouts that you have today, all the takeaways. She's the person that sends out the invitations that you register with on Eventbrite. Debbie runs John and I. She lets us know what we need to be doing and what's coming up next. So she's a very integral part of our team, in addition to being one of the major contributors to our book, which we'll have as a giveaway today. So towards the end of our seminar, after we do Q&A, everybody's got a blue ticket on their handout. And that blue ticket, we're going to be calling that number. If you'll go right back here to check in with her, she'll do just what you need. We're going to be calling the numbers on those tickets so that we'll have a handout for you. Okay? All right. So let's talk a little bit about what is the makeup of this. And we kind of added this slide. We may have had it last time, but we've added it because we find that oftentimes people will call us and say, well, I want to talk to senior downsizing experts. And John and I are the owners of senior downsizing experts. We found 10 years ago when we were helping my mother-in-law make a move that we needed more than just a real estate agent, which is what we were doing. We needed to have other partners work with us that could help our clients, because for those individuals that were making a move, and I think a lot of you would agree, if you were to make a move today, it's so much different than what it was when you moved into your first apartment, or maybe your second house and you were just taking everything there and moving it into the new one. It's a lot different. So what we did was we formed some really great partnerships with individuals that act as our repair contractors. Oftentimes people will say, well, I've got some areas that I need to have painted. For the outside, there's some areas where the woods, all you can see is the wood, but it needs to be updated. So we have people that help us with those kinds of things because our clients want someone that they can trust. We're really picky about who we work with because when we're sending them to you, it's an extension of us. So we want to make sure you get somebody good that we would use too. So that's important to know. We also have estate sale professionals. And a lot of those people work with us as well, and we have a couple of them that are actually with us today. And here again, another opportunity for us to find people that are really good at what they do it for a living, and they can help people deal with their stuff. So that's another resource that we have. And then we also have packers and movers. And if I could just briefly share a story with you that's happening for us right now, and I think it's really important. I have a client right now that I have helped them go through the entire process 5 times. Now we're on number 6. And my client said, well, I think we're going to pack ourselves. Okay. And I think my kids are probably going to, they've got some friends and they'll move us. Okay. And I don't know that we really need to do an estate sale. I think we're just going to give most of our stuff away. We really don't, or I'll sell some stuff through the church, etc. I want to tell you, I met with her on Monday. She's 82 years old, and we have been together through a lot of different things. Totally worn out. The kids didn't show up to help move on time. They had to find a friend that was going to be available. They didn't have the vehicles that they were hoping for. The people that came to buy things decided they didn't want them after all, so they pretty much bargained with them to take them, gave them away. It's important when you have resources that you consider those things, because it can make a move that you're maybe not real excited about or energized about. It can make it really hard. And my biggest concern for her and her husband right now, and he's 89, is they're so worn out that are they going to be able to get their energy back together to where they can enjoy the move that they just made. So it's really important that you think those three things through. And I often say to people that we talk with is, if you're just curious and you have a game plan, but you're not exactly sure when that's going to take place, give us a phone call. Let's just help you plan. What does it look like for me? So that you kind of have an idea. The other part that's really important is this one here, financial and legal. And we've discussed that often in the past. You want to make sure all your documents are in order and that you can lay your hands on them. And a new one that has just come up for us as real estate agents, and oh boy, I have a transaction I'm working right now, and it's a booger because of this. If you've ever received any money on a mineral oil and gas lease, even if it's just a first check, and you've never seen anything since, when you get ready to list your house, your real estate agent needs to see that lease. And for a lot of people, they say, oh my gosh, I have no idea what that was. That's 20 years ago. We never even got a dime. Doesn't matter. You have to provide it. So we've been working a real tough transaction on someone coming in from Colorado, heard about oil and gas. Our client said, let them have it. They've got a little bitty tiny garden home, and the last check they got was $16.20. But this buyer thinks it's going to be bigger. And they've hired a landman, they've hired an oil and gas attorney for this little bitty garden lot because they think that there's more to it than what we're revealing. So it's really important that you have that. And I just had to tell you that because it's a new thing for us. We are senior downsizing experts, real estate agents, and we have a really wonderful Smart Senior Series seminars that we love doing for you. And we're already working on new and different topics for next year. So this is the reason that we can be here at this location. We have wonderful sponsors that work with us and are on board with what it is, what our mindset is as far as providing education for you. It's never ever meant to be a salesy thing. It's education. That's what we're here for. But without these sponsors that you're seeing here on the screen, we would not be able to do any of this. So today we have Civitas, Brandon from Civitas. We have Bertha with Dignity Memorial here in the back. We have, we have Tracy with Celebration Magazine. They have been a really fun group to work with. That's the magazines that are out on the table. We got to do an article in it last month. Who else do we have here? We have Meridian Elements, which is why we're here in this room, providing this for us. I think that's all we have at the moment. There may be some others that slip in. And then we have our sponsored, our featured sponsor today, which is Erica Williams with Counterdale Joy Estate Sales. Erica, do you want to say a couple of words to us?
Speaking of, oh, that's right. No microphone. Yeah, Erica Williams with Counterdale Joy Estate Sales. We've been servicing the DFW area for 11 years now. My, how time flies. Yeah, Ingrid and I met early on in the business, and so we've been partnering for all of that time. And so glad to be here. Looking forward to sharing some good information with you all today.
Thank you, Erica. And the other sponsor that we have is Senior Downsizing Experts, which that's us. That's John and Debbie, myself, and all the vendor partners that we have, and you already know about us. So let's go ahead and move forward with our seminar today. We talked about phones, so if anybody came in late, please silence your cell phones so that we can all share the experience together. Save your questions until we get to that place in the seminar. So also inside your handout that Debbie provided for you at the sign-in table, you have an evaluation And we really would love to hear from you about the seminar. What did you like? Did you get what you were expecting when you came? What would you like to have seen that we didn't provide? That kind of information. And if you'll just leave that on your table before you leave today, that would make a huge difference, and we'd be ever so grateful for that. So where have we been in our seminars so far? We talked about planning and financial. That was one of the very first things we did. Have I made good choices for the long term? Really important. We talked about aging in the right place. And that doesn't necessarily mean making a move if you're in the right place already, but making it a place that you can age in safely. We talked about how to prepare your house for sale. We did an in-depth seminar on that last month so that you would kind of know if I'm going to do something, what are the things I need to take care of. And then today, the big deal, the stuff. The stuff can really be paralyzing in a lot of cases. Whether you're thinking about moving to a retirement community, a smaller home, another state, whatever the case may be, that stuff can really paralyze you if you don't have a game plan. And I know that for a lot of us, I'll give one example. Past client of mine went to visit a community that she was interested in moving to, had a lot of friends there, really wanted to be there, and loved the apartment that was going to be available to her. The price was right. When she went home, she had a lot of stuff. And it was so overwhelming at that point that she made the decision, I'm just going to stay here. It's easier to stay here and live in it than it would be for me to make that change. So stuff is a big deal, and it really doesn't matter what age you are. Stuff can be overwhelming. So what is stuff? So stuff is memorabilia. It's the latest gadgets, QVC. How many of us do online shopping or did more of that last year when we couldn't go anywhere? It's easier just to have it delivered, right? Best Buys, oh my gosh, this will never be on sale again. I've got to go and get it right now. I'm sure I'll never see that price again. Need to get it, maybe get two, just in case one. I need another, or for Christmas for somebody. Or how about this one? Must-haves. I know I don't need it, but I really want it. It's the one thing I want, I'm going to get it. Okay? So here again, at this stage of life, less is more. And when if I were coming to do a consultation with you, I would tell you less is best. Because it's easier to manage, it's less to dust, it's less to worry about how I keep up with it. Less is best. And it can be paralyzing, which we just talked about. And I will tell you, in a real estate transaction, it's a difficult conversation to have, because remember this, when you've made that decision that we want something different, whether it be smaller, bigger, we want something different. The people that are going to be coming and looking at your house want to see something that's going to be big to them. So if you have all of your things, sometimes I see where, maybe all the chairs are aligned in one place because it's easier for everybody to sit, especially closer to the TV, which works great for you in your lifestyle right now. But when a buyer comes in, what they don't want to have to do is walk around things to get through your house. So it's hard in a real estate transaction when you have a lot of stuff. That's when you want to talk about, well, what do I do with some of that stuff while I get ready, okay? Sorting and organizing. Well, can't downsize a 40-year-old house in 48 hours. It'd be great if we could just move it out of there, wouldn't it? Start while you're healthy. That's the big deal. You don't want to wait until, oh my gosh, I've got to do this. I don't feel well. I have to make a move now. Don't wait until it's time to move. Start in a low-stakes room like the bathroom or the kitchen. Not in the den where you've got all the family albums and all the heirlooms, because that's just going to hold you up. You want to start where, here's an example. How often have we had specific towels that the only time those towels get used is when we have company? They get the good towels. Well, why can't we get the good towels? And maybe get rid of some of those others that we don't need. Or the spices in the kitchen, that same kind of thing. Or in the kitchen, we've got certain things we say, we have lots of different snacks for the grandkids. They're not coming over as often as they were. And I got a whole bunch of those things, so I really need all that there. So start in a low stakes room, save the sentimental things like we talked about for later. That's what you want to go back to when you've got everything else pretty much cleaned up or decided about. And then look at it this way, as a fresh start. So I like to liken it to this. You know, think this for a minute. The last time that you went in and cleaned out your closet, you hung everything together that matched, or maybe I like to do all the colors together that are matching. The shoes are lined up, the shelves are, the sweaters are folded right. It feels so good. You walk out of that. Or how about guys, the last time you cleaned up the garage and all of those tools that you've been looking for are where you know they should be, and they're the right ones are in the right place. It feels good. It feels fresh to do that. That's what your goal is here. And keeping in mind as you're sitting there saying, oh gosh, sounds like a great idea, but I couldn't do that by myself. Look to someone that can help you with, on somebody that would help you with that. We could be one of those. So what we're going to do is we're going to talk to our guests today, our guest speakers. And our very first speaker today is Elizabeth Trout with Retired Ease. And Elizabeth is going to talk to us about managing your move and where do you start. And I'm going to ask you some questions and then take you from there. So Elizabeth, talk to us a little bit about organizing. As we're looking at the pictures that we have up here, handy after you've made your move. How many times do you have somebody call you after they've made a move, said, come help me set it up?
Often, you make the move with all this stuff and then it's kind of like, okay, well, I'm moving into a smaller place and I've got to find a home for all this stuff. So how do you attack that? I always think of it as the adage of the big piece of cake, and you just get a fork and you take one bite at a time. That's what we have to do. So, sorting everything and then, having the proper place to store it. If it's, bins or boxes, however we want to put those things back, we want to put them back in the right way so that you can find things easily. It's efficient, it's functional. So those are the things that we want to try and do as we move back into a new space.
That's good. That's good to know. And if they're planning for a future move, is it going to be, how do they start to work on that? So I'll use this example. A couple of weeks ago, we did a seminar for a retirement community in North Dallas. And their building is not going to be ready until 2022. So a lot of the people that were there said, oh gosh, I want to get started on this stuff. I want to get rid of this stuff. I want to make sure that I'm ready to go when my building's ready. But what do I do with all that stuff right now? Because oftentimes, which we'll talk about today, is we say, don't throw away the good stuff. It might be good for your estate sale. Well, what do I do with it now? So paring down some of those things is important as well.
Absolutely.
And then we also have people that say, I'm not going anywhere. I just want to clean up myself. I want to get more organized. So how do we go about doing those things?
Sure. Again, start small and on those areas that aren't, super sentimental. Think about just opening up your medicine cabinet. You might not have gone through it in a while. So go through, things are going to have already expired, pull those things out. That's easy. That's a no-brainer. Put those to the side. And then the things that, are all cold and flu go together. Everything that is first aid related or maybe digestive health. Put those things together, and then when you put them back in a way that they're all grouped together and possibly labeled that way.
Right. Let me just ask one question. Again, I want to just make sure that it's a great experience for everybody. If you have trouble today hearing any of our speakers, please let us know so we can make sure, since we don't have the mics in here today, okay? So one of the things that we like to focus on is the ABCs. A, absolutely must keep. We know there's things, if we walk in our house today, that we would say, it's not negotiable. That's going with me no matter what. I have to keep that. Bring only if it fits in your new place. So if you've got a place in mind, you've got a floor plan, only if it fits in your new place. So it's a thought process that we're going to go through. And if it doesn't, C, clear it out. Or find a place that you can store it until you're ready to make that change. So Elizabeth, here's some pictures of some things that I'd like for you to share with our audience.
All right. Okay, so bullet point number 1, if you have multiples, only keep your favorites. This is an easy one too. If you think, okay, go into your kitchen, open your utensil drawer or your tools drawer. How many spatulas do you have? Probably several, right? Depending on where you're moving, you may or may not have a kitchen. If you do, you probably will have limited space. So again, pick your favorite spatula. Guys, same thing. You might not be going to a place that has a lot of space for all your tools. So pick the best ones. Whether it's the higher end ones that do the best job, or the ones that you like the most, that have the most sentimental value. But anything that you have multiples of, think about, what you can pare down, because you can't take it all with you. What's next?
We also have expired.
Yep, if it's expired, whether it's in your medicine cabinet, it's in the kitchen, in your pantry, anything like that, get rid of it. That's an easy one. You just look for the dates. And if it's medication, you need to dispose of it correctly though. I believe in the past, fire stations will have taken medicine. I don't think they're doing that as much now, but Walmart does have a pill dispenser thing where you can actually put, sorry, it's not a dispenser, it's a receptacle to take in, and you put everything
I didn't
in
know
it.
that. That's good to know.
Yeah,
It's not put it down the toilet. You
exactly.
don't want to do that. So, and that is really important. And I will tell you that I happen to be one of those people that if I have, let's say, a chest cold, something like that, and I get a prescription for something, a lot of times I'm feeling better before I go through all those pills. So I might decide, I'm gonna save those just in case next time I won't have to make another trip to the pharmacy. That's not a good idea. So you want to make sure and be conscientious of that. And then we have, if it's damaged,
Let's get rid of it.
let's get rid of it.
You've
So,
got that shirt that you've worn for years and years, and maybe it's got ring around the collar, or there's a stain, or maybe it's starting to pull or something. Let's get rid of it. Maybe somebody else could benefit from it. You just don't need it anymore. Especially, things that you've owned for many years that might be broken. I'm gonna keep it and I'm gonna try and fix it. How many times have we done that?
when I get around to it.
Yeah. We have my old electric toothbrush my husband said he's gonna fix. I've also got a new one since then. So, it's pink.
And then this last one up here is if you wouldn't buy it again.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I look at this and say, a Super Bowl party. Oh, wouldn't it be so great if we could have a hot dog thing there and the buns and all ready to go? Or have we had that Super Bowl party one time?
Or the quesadilla maker, the waffle maker,
Yes.
the panini maker, and the sandwich maker?
Oh,
Do
yeah.
you need them all?
Yes, oh, yes. Absolutely. Rules for decluttering. So let's talk about this. We've got some pieces here. Talk to us about those.
All right. So if you have things that you definitely want to take with you, start a yes pile. And that is definitely staying, right? Where it's going to make the move to the next location. Then you have those things that are absolute no's, okay? Get rid of them. Then you always have that maybe pile. Avoid the maybe pile. Be decisive. Own it, okay? You can, maybe put it off to the side for a little while and waffle, and ultimately, you're probably gonna say no. Maybe put it in a spare bedroom, whatever it is, and just kind of forget about it for a couple months. Walk back in there. If you didn't need it, then get rid of it.
Yeah,
Okay?
absolutely,
And
absolutely.
if you do need it, you know where it is, and you can go get it.
That's right. And Debbie, what is, how many of you have heard of Marie Kondo? Forgive me that I don't know the exact name of her book, but she has several books. But what she suggests that you do, especially when it comes to clothing, is you take that article of clothing and really look it over and make this decision. Does it still bring me joy? If it still brings you joy and you love that, that might be something that you're going to put in the keep pile. If it doesn't, a lot of us go through these cycles of, well, winter's coming, I'm going to need some bigger clothes, because winter seems to be the time that I need bigger clothes. And then summer's coming, I want to have some smaller clothes. So I save those different sizes. Those kinds of things, not always a good idea to keep those present. So I like to talk about this one here, organizing process, because what Elizabeth does, she does a lot of assistance for people that want to or need help organizing. So talk to us about these items here.
Absolutely. Let's show these slides. So you want to start, like I said, always just start small, but pull everything out. So say you're going to clean out your pantry, okay? Pull everything out, okay? Line it all up. Put all the things that are together by like groups. So all your spices will go together, all your canned foods will go together, all your proteins or starches. And then, okay, so you've got those things all sorted out. Then you want to start to micro sort, okay? So then you're going to do, okay, this is all my pasta. This is all my rice. These are beans, tomatoes, so on, okay? All the while, of course, looking for expiration dates and getting rid of things as you do that. But then you want to put it back into your pantry in a mindful way. So, if you want to kind of condense everything and get it all in a bin and then put it back in. So you certainly should, and if you need to label it to help you find it easier later on, that's great. I also like to think about, especially when it comes to the pantry, how you cook. Let's put all of our baking goods together. We've got the flours and the sugars and, cornstarch and all those kinds of things. Maybe you have icing, food coloring, all those kind of things could go together in bins so it's all condensed and looks nice and is easy to find later on. What else? And you would do the same process through your office, your bathroom, your bedrooms. Just go through, sort, and pull everything out, sort it, toss what you don't need, donate what you don't want to have, but it doesn't need to be thrown away, and then put it back nice and neatly. What else? Once you've sorted and purged, what do you do with all the stuff you want to get rid of? Well, if you think that things are worth something to someone, put it in a room that you're not using. And that way you can have it there, and then Erica can come through and possibly sell it for you in an estate sale. Or, just take it to Goodwill. Or if it's, office supplies, there's always an organization for teachers that's going to want something that has to do with office supplies. If you're familiar with the Wellman Project in Fort Worth, they're always looking for that kind of stuff. Even teachers at your neighborhood school might need things. Does everything have to come from the Container Store?
That's a great store. I like that store.
It's fun. It's like an organizer's playground. But it can get a little expensive, right? What I have found is that there are a lot of other places that you can go to find similar resources. Walmart has a pretty amazing organization, a lot of products. At Home, formerly Garden Ridge, they have a lot of good things. I like Home Goods, I like TJ Maxx and Ross, but you can't necessarily count on them having the quantity of things that you need, because usually when you organize, you want to buy the same size bin, or you don't want to have just a mix match of stuff. You would like everything to be organized and clean and match, right? So that's where you can go and get those kinds of things.
Dollar store.
Dollar Tree, yeah,
Dollar Tree.
Dollar Tree is one of my favorites. They have some amazing things that are very, very inexpensive. And then when you have something that is more of a showcase or a pretty piece of furniture, something that you want to show off, or that maybe people are going to see more than just in your vanity in your bathroom, you might go to the Container Store and buy something pretty for that. They've got those beautiful acrylic containers that you can put into desks and things, and so there's a lot of other stuff to have in your back pocket as a resource.
That's good. That's good to know. So, Elizabeth alluded to having a sorting room. So this is one of those things where the conversation that I had with these individuals in North Dallas is, I want to do something right now. I want to kind of get my house organized right now. If you think about it, if there's a chance that in your house you're not living in all the rooms, like the bedrooms, maybe you had a family full in the house and everybody had their own room. You have a guest room now, you may have another one that's when your kids come back over the holidays, something like that. Sometimes that's the room that we want to set up as the staging room. And that's the one where we have given some thought to some things that we're not sure if we're going to keep it or not. And we're going to go ahead and we're going to put those in that staging room. You could also use some of the other options here, like the garage. depending upon the state of your garage. I know one half of our garage, I like to park my car in the garage, so I want my half to be ready for my vehicle. The other half of our garage has a bunch of real estate stuff in it, and chairs when we go to outdoor events and that kind of thing. So our garage is not really good, and it's hot in there. So we gotta really be careful about heat sensitive things. The shed would be another idea, or a pod. Now, this might be something, if you're getting ready to make a move and you want to get some things out of your house, you might decide, maybe I'm going to rent a pod. And so they bring that pod to your driveway. You can put all your stuff in that pod, and they're going to then pick it up and take it away to the pod farm, where it's going to sit and wait until you're ready for it, and then they'll bring it back and drop it in your driveway or wherever you are to where you can unload it. One of our past clients, she decided she wanted to declutter her house, and that was the only way she could do it. She had a pod delivered, she hauled everything out there, and then she went back and picked and chose those things that she wanted to bring back into her house. And what was left in there, those were things for sure she knew were on their way out. So that's an idea. You know, we're not recommending that you take heavy furniture and move it into that room, but here again, what my experience has been, that sorting room is I'm not for sure. I hope the kids take this. Maybe this should go with me. I don't know if I have enough space. Will I wear it again? Will I look at that again? Will I read that book again? Those kinds of things. Typically what ends up happening with those is that you end up putting those in an estate sale, or you have somebody come that will do a buyout for you, and they take those things with them. So just keep that in mind. There are places that you can do that within your home to make you feel like you're making progress. So here again, share with your family. We've got holidays coming up. We've got another one coming up this next month. This is the time for you to share those legacy gifts with your family, where you can talk with them about those things that you have, and have the conversations with them. I've been saving this all this time for you because you wanted me to set it aside. Is it something that you're still interested in taking home for your kids, for my grandkids? Now would be the time to do that, because I'm wanting to release some of these things. Allow yourself time to reminisce. A lot of the stuff that we're talking about doing, you've had time to wait forever. So it might be nice to have some time to just bring it out and think about where I got that on one of the vacations that I went. This was a wonderful time. I remember where we ate dinner that night, all of that. Give yourself the gift to reminisce those things. Use the time to share the stories and bond with others. And boy, oh boy, I can't tell you how important that is. 2 years now, 2 years ago May, I lost my mother, who lived in New Mexico, and I'm first generation for my family. So my mom and dad got here. My dad got here as a prisoner of war, and he loved America so much that when the war was over, he didn't go back. My mom came over, it was an arranged marriage, not to my dad, but she came over on a boat, and my dad was here already, and off they went. But what I'm trying to say is that all of my family was in Germany. So I had a lot of traditions, et cetera, that I grew up with. But now there are some questions that I have about my life, and there's nobody to ask. So keep that in mind. That's important. John lost his mom last May. So both of our moms went in May. We're both orphans now. Our fathers are gone. Our moms are gone. It's important for you to take that time and share those stories. You know, there's some of us that are going to say, oh my goodness, say, Mom, I've heard that story 100 times. Please don't tell it again. But your grandkids maybe have not. And maybe put a different spin on it, but they would love to hear it. So do that. Don't be offended if they don't want your treasures. Well, I cannot tell you how many times I hear this. I've saved this all these years. I've polished that silver all these years. My daughter doesn't want it. Remember, there's going to be somebody out there that's going to love it like you did, but it may not be your kids. That's really important. So Elizabeth, talk to us about the collections that we're seeing here.
All right, well, and just to tack onto that last comment, don't just be a fairy and drop something off on somebody's front porch either. God loves Grandma Trout, but I now have a 3-foot wide silver platter that I can't do anything with. And yeah, okay, so, when you are trying to go through those precious items and those collections that you have, keep the things that you like the very most. You know, that if it's, you know, you collect Hummels or precious moments or whatever those things are, and maybe you collect both of them, but there's got to be one that you maybe like more. Take that with you to the next spot, okay? And let Erica sell the other collection. Or you can always rethink how you present something. I had a client not long ago who collected stir sticks from their travels. And so I was able to create a stir stick kind of sunburst art piece with it for them. So just, you know, creative ways to show off your collections that, you know, you want to keep with you. And then also, you know, if you collect, I don't know, boxes, tins, things like that, maybe you repurpose those to not only be a collectible item, but you use them to store different things in. So there's always a way to, you know, if there is something you want to keep, we could probably figure out a way to keep it and just make it a little bit more functional for you on the back end.
Yeah, I think so. And I know that here in just a couple of minutes, we're going to be talking with Robbie Love, and we're going to be talking with Erica, and they also see these things. They both have had experience coming to different clients that we've worked with and see these kinds of things. But keep this in mind. Look at this. Think of the investment this woman must have in all those Winnie the Poohs. That brought her joy at one point, but you know, and they would probably confirm that they're not going to go for that now. Precious moments. How about the little spoons that you collect when you go on a vacation that's got a picture of the state that you're visiting, teacups, plates, those kinds of things are not, unless they're rare, they're not big buys now. Right? Now, here's another sample that I wanted to share with you. This is a great idea. We have, I'll just share for myself, we have in our linen closet, I probably have 5 boxes of pictures, 2 boxes of pictures. Even the packages still have the film with them, right? Which I doubt that you could get developed at this point. When do you look at those pictures? Well, our son got married, okay, it's going to be 10 years ago now. We got the pictures out because we wanted to do a little collage for the wedding. We did get the pictures out for both of our mothers' funerals because we wanted to do something for that. But really, when do you look at those pictures? And sometimes you go to them and they're a totally different color. You can't even make out who's on them. So there are different places that you can take those things. And we'll talk about those in a moment. But what's really nice about that, you see the spring right here? You can have a lot of those things put on a little, what they call a flash drive. And those frames are inexpensive. So you may have one in the living room that shows all the vacations that you've been on. So now you're revisiting all those wonderful memories. You have another one in the kitchen that's all the family events that you've done together, and you see the grandkids and your family, etc. And maybe another one in your bedroom that has a different set of pictures. But the point being is that you're enjoying them versus tucking them away somewhere. Now, we do say here, make a coffee table book. That would be another option, as long as it stays on top of the coffee table. So Elizabeth, how about digitizing? What does that do for us?
Well, it allows us to get rid of a lot of paper. I think, what is it, the average file cabinet or drawer holds like 45,000 pieces of paper. So you can downsize a lot by digitizing and scanning items. Especially any kind of special documentation that you have, you know, regarding your home or legal documents, things like that. Any specific receipts that you might need to scan, definitely keep those. If you do need to keep physical copies, you know, just the bare minimum that you can handle. What else? You can have your.
We've got some companies out there.
Yes,
that can help you with that.
Yes.
Legacy Box is one of them. You probably hear about on either on your TV or on the radio. You know, you gather up all those old videos, VHS tapes that you have from different family events or movies that you love, but you don't have that device anymore. You can send all those things to Legacy Box. They'll digitize it all for you and send it back to you in a format that you can actually see it and still enjoy it. versus tucking it away because we don't have that kind of equipment or it doesn't run on that equipment anymore. Okay, so keeping that in mind. And then protecting your valuables. You'd be surprised when, once you start going through your things, what you're gonna find that you thought you had lost. That were in a, thanks John, I appreciate it. That were in a pocket for a jacket you haven't had on for years, and that's where you found that one ring you've been looking for forever. So what's important here in this particular slide is when you have your precious items together, jewelry, whatever it may be, take pictures of it. If something were to happen and those things went away, tornado, for example, your insurance company is going to want to determine the value of it, and if you have a picture, it's going to be so helpful to do that. So take pictures of those things. If you have a safety deposit box and you're getting ready to, let's say, put your house on the market, but you're going to stay there until it sells, take those things and put them in a safety deposit box, just to make sure they're protected. If you have an estate sale, your estate liquidator is going to often find, as they're going through your things and preparing things for you, they're going to find those things as well that maybe you didn't know were there. And we'll talk about how they would manage that for you as well. But take pictures of them. Our phones have really great cameras these days. And if you need help once you've taken the picture, if you have somebody that can help you, save those somewhere so that you have those for insurance purposes. And then protecting yourself. Gosh, this is so important. Anything that you have in your house that has a bank account number on it, so I want you to think about this, and I'm only speaking from experience. Oh my gosh, I haven't used that checking account in 20 years. Still has your name on those old checks. Still has the account number on those old checks, and we both know that there is a lot of crime going on right now with identity theft. So those things need to go. And I would say this, tearing them into 100 pieces and throwing them in your trash, there's people out there that can take those things back together. So we never know what happens with our trash when it leaves us. So it might be important for you to think about shredding. That's a better way for you to do that. It used to be that we used to have medical bills that came to us, and on the medical bill, it had our social security number on there as a way to identify us. We want to make sure those things are gone. They've got no business being there. And Elizabeth and I are working with a client right now that's getting ready to make a move. And the one thing he said, I don't know what I'm going to do about my office. I need all that paper, all my old accounts. He's been retired for 30 years, but he still wants all that paper. So that's a good time to digitize and shred those things. We did a shred event. We had a shred truck come out to our neighborhood because we, as real estate agents, we can't hang on to all these files. But we have files, we've got to hang on to at least 7 years worth of files. But we had files from before that have all kinds of information that nobody else needs to get their hands on. For me personally, well, we could have burned up several shredders sitting in the living room doing one at a time, but it just made more sense to get a shred truck to come. And I wanted to see, I didn't want to take my box of stuff to shred and drop it off somewhere. I know that sometime they'd get to it. I wanted to see it be shredded. It made me feel good that it was disposed of and I didn't have to worry about it. So really consider doing that. There's a lot of different times, especially in the spring, that companies, the city, the senior center, water department, that they have shredders. If you start early, you don't need to take 25 boxes at a time. But take what you can and get that done. It feels good, feels secure. Okay, digital asset inventory, same thing. We have this in our book. So we just say this, just briefly here. If something were to happen to you today, how many of you are on Facebook? There's a lot of people that are on Facebook. If something happens to you today, does someone in your family, a loved one in your family, know what your password is to Facebook? How about your email?
Yes.
Would they know how to get into your email?
Yes.
Well, that's good. I just recently learned by getting a reminder, how many of us that aren't on Facebook have been reminded about someone's birthday
Yeah.
that's been deceased for years. I just learned that going into my Facebook profile, that I could actually identify if something happens to me, how many days do I want to keep my page up? Like maybe for memorial purposes. And who will I designate with permission to delete it? I didn't know about that until we started talking about things in our seminars. So Facebook profile would be a tip that I would encourage you to go out and look at. And there's a place where it talks about memorializing, where you can actually make those changes. And this is the flash drive that we were talking about, where you can actually scan those things, your documents, etc., and put it on one of those little flash drives, and it has a lot more storage space than your desk drawer does. And you can store things out there, photos, documents, etc. Okay, we've talked many times, and you have a handout that has at least one page of downsizing docs. So as we get ready to talk to our estate liquidators over here, what we try to do is we really want to make it easy for everybody. Because everybody says, I don't know where to start. How will I get going on this? So our suggestion is to use our downsizing doc system. May I borrow yours for just a moment? So there are instructions on the page, but really it's pretty simple. Think of it this way. If you're driving your car and you approach a red light, what does that red light say? Stop. If you're in your home and you know, I am not taking that with me, you're going to put a red dot on it. Stays here. When you're driving your car and you're coming up to a stoplight and it's green, what does that say? Goes with me. I'm going to go down the street. So the green dot says, I'm taking that with me, so that when the packer comes and the mover comes, pack those things up, they're going with me. The yellow and the blue could be for your children, could be to donate to charity. Here's what I want to say about this. Realistically, it really doesn't matter the color of the dot, it's the action. Once you put a sticker on it, you're done with that. Okay, I've decided on that, now I can move on to something else. You're not back and forth with take it, leave it, take it, leave it. So it's really a stress buster. And you want to use that. Now you might be saying, well, what do I do if I've got in my kitchen, I've got a whole cabinet full of things I don't want to take? I for sure don't want to dot everything. You'll put a red dot on the cabinet door. Everything behind this door, it's going in the estate safe. So when your estate liquidator comes, she's going to be seeing red dots. She's going to know that those are things she's going to be selling, and she's going to be cataloging those so that she can see that you have enough for your sale. And when the packer comes to get you ready and pack you up to move to the next place, if it's got a green dot on it, pack me up. I'm taking that with me. It's a good idea. It really does work well. Here's the information about the pods. It's really a nice system if you know what your plan is. It's not something that you just want to have stuff stocked into a pod and then hauled off somewhere. It's storage, but you're going to be paying a lot more for it than a storage locker. So it's got a specific purpose. Okay, so Elizabeth, we're going to go back to you briefly, and then we're going to move on to our other guests. So we're talking about packing and moving. This is the place where we want to not be cheap. Talk about that.
All right. You don't want to rely on your kids to help you move. Remember, they've got their own lives. They probably have jobs, maybe their own kids. And so having to move your stuff is probably not one of their biggest priorities. Just saying. So hire a mover. Plus, they are usually insured. They've got the manpower. They've got the right vehicles. And you're going to pay for it, but they will be efficient. A lot of them, will have a minimum number of hours that you have to contract for, but they're on it. They're moving, and they are going to get your stuff on the truck. They're going to get it to you and into your new space. And they'll take direction wherever you want a piece to go. They'll put it there, put your beds together. If you've got a big headboard and, all the box springs and all that, they will put all of that together for you. So it's a really nice thing to have done. What else? Let's see. You could have packing materials delivered to your house by either the mover, or, order from Amazon or Walmart, and start the packing process, as you need to. You wrap things in paper, and then if they're super fragile, then wrap them in bubble wrap. Does the bubble go on the inside or the outside? On the outside. Just gives it a little bit extra protection. Because we've all wondered that, right?
Yeah. I was learning that even now. I just wrapped up.
Professional packer told me that.
There you go. Okay.
And, really, it's already a stressful time. You're, trying to make sure everything's buttoned up at the old house, get ready to move into the new house. If you're moving into an apartment or to assisted living or wherever, you're probably going to have to do a checklist when you get there. So having the mover kind of helping you facilitate this whole thing will make it so much easier, because you can walk into that new space and do the checklist. Hey, the paint looks good, the plumbing works, do all those little things that you need to do, and then stuff just starts coming in for you.
Right. And what's really, the other part that's important here is, depending upon the mover that you work with, the movers that our team works with are a little more flexible, and what I mean by that is that they may be willing to drop off some things if it's on the way at your family's house. These are things, can you drop this off at my son's house, or drop this off at storage. So just keep that in mind when you're shopping for that, or if you need some ideas, definitely let us know. What's important here is what's included in the packing services. These are questions that you want to ask your packer that's coming. What's included? What can I do to help my packers? Keeping this in mind, Elizabeth just said they're bonded and insured. So if you say, well, I'm going to pack up all of my crystal, remember this, that when the movers come, they didn't pack it. If something gets broken, you did. So you want to ask those questions. What am I going to be able to take? What am I going to be able to pack? Are unpacking services available?
Yes.
I have found that a lot of times at the very beginning, when we started specializing with senior downsizing, a lot of people said, I just need to be packed up. I want them to take me to my new location and I'll deal with it from there. But more and more now, we're hearing, I want them to pack me and unpack me. And in our case, a lot of times the girl that packs your kitchen is the same person that's going to unpack your kitchen, because I want to make sure it looks as close as possible, even though it's less space than what you had before. How are packing and moving services priced? Well, in most cases, they're priced separately, right?
Yes.
They really are, because there are two different individuals that are doing that. Are all packers bonded and insured? That's important for you to ask, correct?
Correct.
Because if it gets broken, who's going to pay for it? Now, that doesn't replace the item that was so sentimental, but at least you get something for that. This is just kind of some pictures of packing that we have here. The importance of how things are done. If you're not going to be unpacking them right away, it's going to be important to also, what size boxes can we put these in so that you don't have something huge that you can't pick up when you get ready to unpack it. So working with somebody that's a professional there is going to be able to help with that as well.
Yeah. And you want to also remember to have, the unpack me first box, and it might have a box cutter in it. It might have contractor bags, so you can throw away all the wrapping material.
Might have your coffee maker in there.
Coffee maker, maybe.
It might have, really think about opening first, my toothbrush, my coffee maker, toilet paper. Things like that you want to make sure when you get there, if you're waiting for somebody to unpack you, that you can get into those. My medication.
Medication's a big one. Yeah.
Those kinds of things. That's going to be important. Okay, packing and moving. So again, working with somebody that knows how to help with that. Elizabeth is working with someone for us right now, and being able to see a floor plan really helps decide what's people can take, correct?
Absolutely, yeah, absolutely.
That's really important. And all retirement communities will have something that helps people see how big their apartments are. Because remember, in most cases, we're going from big to small. So we want to make sure and not overload ourselves with things so we can get there to make it feel even smaller. Okay, selling your stuff. Well, now we're dealing with our stuff. We talked about how do we get it ready, but now we're actually at that place. And we have two guests with us today. Erica Williams is with Count It All Joy Estate Sales, and Robbie Love is here with Auction Block, and the Sullivan Real Estate Team, and Senior Downsizing Experts. We've done a lot of business with both of these people. They have been amazing resources for us. So we have a few slides here that we're going to go through together. And if you two don't mind, I'll just pitch some questions to you.
Sounds good.
But first thing I'd like to do, before we do that, I'd like actually, Robbie, you haven't had a chance. Erica did earlier. Tell us a little bit about yourself and your company.
We look family-owned auction business in Burleson, or Renton area, actually. Been in business about 35 years doing auctions, so we've done a lot of stuff from estates to business liquidations to, everything in the world. Yeah, so.
And we've been to their auction house. It's really quite a lot of fun. Friday night
Every
auction,
Friday
right?
night, yep.
Friday night. A lot of fun to go down there. So dealing with your stuff, here again, a couple of ideas. How many people here have done a garage sale before? Oh, this is great. I love at least seeing more hands. We did something last week, and I think there were 2 people that said they were. How many of us have attended a garage sale? Probably most of us. In my mind, and this is just, and I don't mean to be fresh about this, but in my mind, a garage sale's living. Oh my gosh, you get together with it, let's do it as a neighborhood garage sale, everybody brings their stuff over, you price it all out, you get it ready to go. You think you've got some really great prices, it's organized. Remember, you can't hammer that sign on the telephone poles or paste it to the lamp posts anymore, you gotta get a permit. That's important, you gotta get a permit. And then you get handlers that come, I can't believe that they're actually going to ask if they can buy it for less. Or how about this? You've done a neighborhood garage sale. It's 6 o'clock in the morning. You've gotten all your tables out on the driveway. You're so excited. We've got balloons, some coffee. Everybody's ready to come. We're about an hour into it. What's that? Oh my gosh, it's raining. Oh no. So now we've got to haul all those tables back in the garage. We've lost all of our audience. We're hoping that tomorrow we can put them back out. And what are we going to do if they don't buy everything? Then we're begging people to take the other things with them. So garage sales can be really tough. When you are considering a estate sale, well, that's a whole different deal because now you are looking at working with somebody that does that for a living. They know how to price things. It saves you time and energy. They boost your visibility for your sale by the marketing that they do. So a lot of their marketing is very similar to the way that we would market your house as a real estate agent. They increase your revenue because they charge higher prices for things. And most of all, it reduces your stress. That's what you want to keep in mind when you're looking at an estate liquidator. So this says it all right here. What types of sales should I have? We can have a tag sale, which is what I like to call a traditional estate sale. We can have an online sale, so everything's going to be online and bidding online, or we can have a buyout. I don't really have enough for a sale. There's not really anything special here. I just need somebody to come and buy me out, take it out of here. What's the minimum amount for a sale? Erica, what's the minimum amount for a sale?
Minimum amount, we would give a range of 3,000 to 5,000, and you can kind of gauge that when you're, looking at your stuff, and we can help you gauge that as well. But minimum, you're looking at 3 to 5.
3 to 5,000. And I will tell you this: location means everything, because there are some estate liquidators that if you're in Dallas, you got to have $10,000 worth before they're going to consider you. So it's really important that you know that. But as Erica said, and that's been our experience with our clients, and Erica's not just over here in Tarrant County, she works in Metroplex like we do.
Yes.
But 3 to 5,000 is going to be what she's looking for on an estate sale. How much do they charge?
On average, you're going to hear 35 to 40%. Don't get that number stuck in your head, because if you're a hoarder, you don't have to admit it here. That's a lot of more work and detail that's involved. So it might be on the higher end. And then, it may be, a smaller sale that may be on the smaller end. So think about average 35 to 40%, but that range could go from 30% to 50%, but realistically, around that 35 to 40.
Okay, all right, that's good to know. And again, it's location. I've heard of other sales in other parts of the city that it can be 55% is what their take is, and then you get the difference. So you want to, these are things that you want to be thinking about when you're looking to do that. But most importantly, you want to look to do it with someone that does it for a living, because that's what they do to make their living. So they know how to find things, how to price things, how to market things, versus someone that says, oh, I do estate sales, but I work a job during the week, so I only do it on the weekend. And now they're trying to move it out as quick as possible because Monday they gotta go back to work. So keep that in mind. How do they get paid?
At the end of the sale, a check is usually issued to the client at the end of the sale. Typically, in certain situations, an inventory will come along with that, but typically it's just a check. Every contract is different, so that's a question you do want to ask. How long is it going to take to get paid? Up to 10 business days is average. Sometimes it's longer. It may be up to 30 days for some companies, so definitely ask that question when you're interviewing.
That's important. How long you been doing this, and how long does it take for me to get paid? And how will I be paid? Okay. And Robbie, when you're doing an auction, and of course we're going to get more into your part here in a bit, but how long does it take for people to get paid for you? If they're bringing something there.
Usually, if we sell on a Friday night and your check is ready the following Friday after 7 p.m. So, and if it's mailed, then it'd be mailed out the next Monday.
Oh. Okay, so it usually takes a week.
Yeah, a week,
A week to get
roughly a
paid.
week, yeah.
Okay, all right, that's good to know. All right, so the estate sales expectations. How can your realtor help you prepare for an upcoming sale? Typically, I would say for us, very seldom are we selling a house if there's not an estate sale involved. So what we will do is we work with several different individuals that's their profession. Erica being one of them, Robbie's another one. We have another person that does online sales. We will set up a consultation. And really the consultation is for that person to come to your home and do a walkthrough with you. Typically John or I would bring them to you because they're people we work with, so that you know that. But they're going to do a walk through your house and they're going to see what you have, and they're going to determine if you've got enough for a sale. And the same thing goes for Robbie. If you're doing something with him for the auction, or if he's coming to do a buyout, he's going to walk through with you and he's going to look, see what you got, and then he's going to let you know how he can help you. But that's important that you do that. Timing is everything. So some people say, well, I need to stay in my house until it sells. I know I need an estate sale, but I have to stay here, and you can't live there when they're doing an estate sale. That's important. So if you put your house on the market, because the market's kind of hot right now, we can write into the contract when you get an offer on your house that you like, that we need 2 extra weeks to have the estate sale. Because typically, a typical sale is about 2 weeks to set it up.
Exactly.
Right?
A week and a half to 2 weeks, yes.
Right. Unless you have more stuff, as Erica alluded to earlier, it could take a lot longer, but that's not the average, usually about 2 weeks. And then at that point, after you've closed, you get 2 extra weeks to do your sale, and then the buyer gets to take possession of your home. Preparation, we talked about that, and then we talked about what stays behind. So same kind of thing. Sometimes there's a lot of different scenarios. If you're moving now, and then you want to get into your new place, and then you want to have your estate sale because you might be wanting to bring some stuff back or forth, then we look at having the estate sale first, then we come in and clean it up and get it ready, and then we stage it and we're ready to put it on the market. So we work with you so that you don't have to worry about doing any of those things, because the individuals that we work with are used to those scenarios. So estate sales, this is important, and this is in your handout. When you're interviewing someone, you want to, so Erica, I'm just going to ask you yes or no here, if you could help me with that. Do you offer a contract?
Yes.
Okay. And do you offer a contract when you go for the first visit?
Yes. Yes, I have digitized now. I used to offer the paper, but now I tell them, we'll follow up with DocuSign and you'll have time to review it.
Okay, okay, and if they don't do computers, then you're gonna give them a
Then
paper one.
absolutely.
Okay, are you bonded and insured?
We are insured.
Okay, all right. Is there a guarantee for the sale?
Amount, as in,
Well, no, I don't know about, you can't really guarantee the amount, but can you tell, are you able to say, yes, you can have an estate sale?
oh,
No?
yes, but yeah, once we see it, we can definitely tell you, yes,
Okay.
this is.
Sometimes when there's an estate sale, there's also an attorney involved because it's an estate. And I just finished one of these, and the attorney wants to see all of the things that have sold and what the prices are that they've sold for the estate's value. Can you provide them with that kind of information?
We definitely can provide them with that information.
Okay, and we already talked about how and when we get paid, typically 7 days,
Up to 10 business days.
up to 10 business days, and Robbie says up to 7, okay? So you want to check the reviews and the references, you want to know who have you used? Who have you used, what are the testimonials, et cetera, that you have for the people you're bringing in? And also, if you've never done an estate sale before, and there's a lot of them now, it used to be that they were estate sale said passed. That person's no longer living and we're having an estate sale. Well, right now, we're having more living estate sales than we are the alternative. Right now, there's probably 100 estate sales in a weekend, when there used to be just a few. So it's important for you to just be comfortable. If there's somebody that you're considering using, look online, we'll talk about that in a minute. Where are they having a sale? Go visit it. See how they set it up, so that you can kind of be familiar with how they do their business, because you're going to be that one that they're going to be doing something like, doing something for. Traditional estate sales. So Erica, how long have you been in business?
11 years.
11 years. And I think that over that time, you didn't have to go to college to do an estate sale.
No, no.
But there's a certain amount of learning that goes with it. Would you agree?
Yeah, a lot of it is on the job learning too.
Okay, all right. When you have something that you're going to sell for somebody, what kind of research do you do before you decide on a price?
Now we're thinking 11 years now. So a lot of it is experience of, we know the market, we know what people are willing to pay for it, fair market value. A lot of it is the stuff that we come across over and over again. So we kind of know what people are going to pay for it. And then there are going to be times when we come across things that, okay, not too sure about this one, haven't gotten this too often. So we're going to tap into resources that you all already know about, you know, the internet resources that you can tap into. We have that additional resource though. Think about the state sale professionals throughout nationwide. We can tap into that one resource. We can just post a picture, give a brief description, and I promise you somebody on the East Coast or the West Coast can say, oh yeah, we had that once before, and in our market, we got this for it. That'll kind of help us narrow down, okay, well, in this market, we'll probably get this for it. So, you know, the internet is huge, just putting a picture out there. And if it's something really valuable, let's say a jewelry item, trying to think coins or something like that. Heritage Auction is another resource that we use. You can actually post a picture to them and they will respond, you know, kind of give you an idea, okay, bring this in, we're really interested, or no, it's, you know, they'll educate you on that as well. So different resources are out there for research. And of course, books will never fade away, so.
Right, yeah, right. And Robbie, while we're at it, because I mean, you're not doing estate sales, but you're probably doing research on the things that you're auctioning off as well, right?
Yeah, just you go online and look it up, and just because they're selling it online for a certain amount doesn't mean you're gonna get it. Okay, you have to go in and look at, if you go on eBay, look at what it's sold for, yeah, how long ago, and that kind of stuff. And sometimes the things you think is worth a lot of money are not, and something you just think is trivial is worth a lot of money. So
well, and both of you probably have access through networking, et cetera, to experts for things like gems and coins and other things that they can help you determine the pricing,
yes.
right?
Yeah, and you have a lot of those people that actually come to the sale, you know, the resellers, they're very, very knowledgeable too. They're coming to your sale to shop as well, so that's a good resource. I've learned a lot from my dealers along the way as well.
And don't the dealers typically show up first?
Yeah, that first day, they're gonna show up first. And they're gonna kind of try and nail it.
Yeah. So as this says here, price is determined by the condition, desirability, and market, just like the real estate market. Location, location, location. Condition of the home, how are things selling, what time on the market. You know, there's a lot of things. It's hard we all think we've got special stuff. We do. But there's things like brown furniture.
Yeah, the maple hutches, maple tables, dining tables, they were beautiful. You've had very good memories eating at them. We practically have to give them away sometimes at a very low price, but you know, remember the whole theme of this seminar is convenience, and you have already red dotted, green dotted, so it's time to let go and let someone else enjoy it or whatever their plans are.
Right, and a lot of times I would say with that furniture, they're buying it because they're gonna take it away and paint it.
Yeah, repurpose people, those are another customer base that comes through the door, and that's another convenience thing that we're thinking about when we're in there going through your things, because we have all types of shoppers coming through the door. So we are thinking about the repurposing person, the creative school teacher who's using, you know, marbles for whatever, you know, for the classroom or whatever. So different customers throughout the door. So there's a purpose for it for somebody.
Right, right. So merchandising. So you set up the sale like a store, right?
We try our best with the room that we have. Yeah, appearance, you know, it does matter as far as, you know, when the pictures are online and things like that. So we definitely want to stage it and make it presentable. You know, that's just quality in, you know, in anything.
Well, I really think it is. I mean, when we go into a store and we're shopping, we are looking for certain things, and if they look nice, it drives us to that area. Now, there are some sales where on clothing, some people have racks to hang them up on, and others just throw them in a pile on the floor. So you gotta think about what's the difference there, what's gonna attract you to that. Rearranging things. I know that a gentleman that Eric and I have worked with in the past, they go through and they look to see where are people shopping most, what shelf are they going to most? And they're changing out the things that are on that shelf all throughout the sale because that seems to be the spot.
That is the weirdest thing. Yeah, once the rush is over, we can kind of reassess and, you know, have that little lull time to just kind of move something in a different place. And usually, for some reason, the next hour or so, that thing will sell just because it was relocated, you know, that space opened up. I don't know why, but it's weird. It happens.
Impulse buys at the cash register.
Love those. Had that last week to happen. A lady, she had just checked out and she glanced over at the table that was right next to me at checkout, and I heard this gasp, say it ain't so. And it was a Viewmaster where you put the slides in. Of course, it reminded her of her childhood. So $15 for the Viewmaster, we'll take it. You know, and she bought it on the spot.
Yeah, well, I mean, I think this way. You go to an estate sale with cash, you want to go spend some money, you certainly don't want to leave with cash in your pocket, right? So you're looking for something to spend that last slide on, it's right there. So that's really good. High dollar, smalls, and jewelry case. So that's important too. They want to make sure that those things are where they can monitor them to make sure they don't get picked up or changed. And then they photograph. Erica does this, Robbie does this. They photograph everything because they want to market it out there to bring their buyers in because they have quite a following. One of the other things I meant to mention, and I'm sure that this happens to Erica, sometimes on an estate sale, the highest day is day 1. The lowest day is the day 3 or 4, depending upon how many days. But there are some people that will shop that sale, and they're very skilled at this, and they'll take something and hide it away because they're going to come back on the low day and they're going to buy it for less. So you need to make sure. And the other thing is, oftentimes when Erica goes to your house and you're saying, these are all the things I want to sell, she's noting all those things down. And then she shows up to do the sale, and all of that good stuff, the family came in and got. So it's really important that you have that conversation ahead of time, because that's what they're counting on. And sometimes we've even had clients where the parents have said, you know what, I've given you 6 months to come get it. I'm gonna put it in the estate sale and you can come and buy it from the estate liquidator. So, there's a lot of work that goes into it, would you agree?
Oh, absolutely. A lot of behind the scenes work. You know, shoppers get to see the pretty side and, oh, this looks so fun, but come join us on the other side.
Yeah. And then she's got realtor on the other side going, when can I get it back?
Right.
Okay, so this just kind of gives you an idea of some merchandising as far as how things are set up. A lot of times they may be, if there's a lot of Christmas, a Christmas room, in the kitchen set up with a lot of kitchen gadgets. I mean, there's all different ways to merchandise it. But a lot of people will say, oh gosh, I really need to stay there during the estate sale. Keep this in mind. You're selling your things that you don't want anymore. A buyer does not want to come in there and have you come up alongside them and tell them the story behind that piece. They don't want that. They just want to buy it. And so that's why they ask, please don't be here during the estate sale, because it's important for them to do the job, which is sell those things. So as far as can you stay in the home, it would be like you living in Walmart, you know, right down the aisle. It's just there, and they work different hours. She may have 2 sales she's setting up. So works at one during the day and she may go to another one in the evening. So they need to have the house available so that they can do their job. So you can't sleep there, can't live in the house. Decisions need to be made. We just talked about this. Go over it with your family. Make sure those things that they really want are not going to be included in the sale, because that really does lessen it. And I don't know about Erica, but I have heard of some estate liquidators that will say, this sale has to bring $2,500 minimum. So if it doesn't, you're going to be giving me that. That's what it's going to cost. Not all of them do that, but it's those kinds of things that happen where they've been promised to sell something. They've advertised it. They put it on the internet with pictures. Buyers are coming to get it, and guess what? It never made it there because somebody else came and got it. One of our other estate liquidators says he even needs to go around the house at night and make sure all the windows are locked. Because oftentimes, he said typically family will come in and unlock a window, and in the evening when everybody's gone, go in and get those things that they were hoping to get that they didn't get in time. So there's a lot that goes with it. Would you agree?
Absolutely. Yeah.
Okay, so marketing, photography. Here again, like I said, they do a lot like we do with our real estate properties. Erica, you advertise on estate sales, all of these, don't you?
estatesales.net and estatesales.org. There's .com out there too. We're on all of those. .net, .org are probably the 2 most well-known, but there are several others that we advertise on Mega Estate Sales. So different ones out there. That even if you just wanted to shop at a estate sale, great sites to go to for that, to look at the pictures. But for your sale, we're going to be marketing in all of those areas, the Facebooks, the websites, the email following that we've developed over the years definitely helps with the sale. And then the professional signage in the neighborhood definitely helps with the sales, as opposed to the handwritten signs and things like that. So again, go ahead.
And for her, just like for us, there are some cities that don't want signs up.
Yeah.
And that makes it really tough. There are some cities where if we want to do an open house, we stick an open house sign out and the city comes by and picks it up, and we're wondering, why didn't we get anybody at the open house? It's the same thing.
Yeah. And those are our headaches to deal with. So again, convenience for you all. That you don't have to deal with.
Yeah, that's really important. And when we know that Erica is having an estate sale for one of our clients, then we also share her Facebook page out on our page so that we can make sure and bring as much traffic as possible that way, because the goal is to get you as much as we can, right? All right. So then this is another really important piece, security. So talk to us about what that safe room is.
Safe room items that we may have come across that were overlooked, and it'll be stated in the contract, you know, if we think you missed something, we're gonna call you, let you know, hey, did you really mean to include this in the sale? That's an item we can just block off, or room, pray we have the space to block off, and no one goes into that room, for those items, and things like that, for, hidden, you know, for those, to hide those things. And at the end of the day, like Ingrid said, you know, checking, unfortunately, that element is always there. We have to check and make sure windows, and make sure that people didn't hide things in certain areas, or that sort of thing. Having someone at the door to assure, has this person paid, you know, that's a luxury, that comes with the estate sale, with us handling it on. And then the biggest thing is one way in, one way out. Might be a fire hazard, but you know, it helps with it when you're trying to control the traffic of the estate sale. And during COVID, it really helped, you know, people kind of understood, okay, we can't let everybody in right now. And, you know, once we reopen back up. So that really helped, and that's probably something we'll continue on with, just letting so many in at a certain time, to kind of help watch things, make it easier for our staff and everything like that, instead of the whole crowd just rushing in.
Yeah, for sure. I'm just gonna have John share, since he was down running an errand for us. Come in real quick here. John's the other partner in our business. He has a story to share with you about the safe room and about something that one of our estate liquidators found.
Okay.
Just that.
Well, we had a client, and so the estate liquidator, what they do is they go through and empty all the closets and all the cabinets, and he found this baseball, and it had some signatures on it, and the estate liquidator says, "Oh, some of those were old New York Yankees on there." And so he calls the client, he says, "Walter, I found a baseball and it looks like some old Yankee player signature." He goes, "Oh, I forgot I had that thing." He said, "When I was a boy, the Yankees played an exhibition game at Cap Field in Fort Worth, and I had a baseball and had them all sign this." And so our estate liquidator took it, and you have to go through a process. First, he had to have it authenticated. You know, anybody could just sign those things. So we had to have that done. And then I think Heritage House he took it to, or whatever, but it got $5,000 for that basically.
Which really and truly, had that not happened, had he not seen that as something that might be of value, that could have went for $1. You know, so that's really important. Other times we've heard where, he found a box of cash in the closet, a shoebox full of cash, $2,000 worth of cash. And what had happened is this woman had been getting mineral checks. She wasn't driving anymore, so she was getting those checks cashed, and she was putting that in that shoebox so she'd have some money. Well, when she died, the family didn't know about it. Here's the shoebox full of cash. Thinking about this, cash, nobody knew about it. Could have been really easy for that cash just to go somewhere. But instead, he called and said, "Hey, we found a box full of cash here. You know, we're going to set that aside in the safe room for you, and when you guys come to pick it up, it'll be there." Or wedding albums. We have somebody just recently, their wedding album, all their wedding pictures. Well, that wasn't something they wanted to put out there, so they put those things, set them aside. So that's important.
And so on piggybacking on that, that's another reason why you want to allow adequate time to set up and stage for your estate sale, as opposed to trying to do it in 2 to 3 days, because those things can easily get overlooked when the staff is having to rush through it. So the more time, the better. So definitely keep that in mind.
That's right, that's right. So, you know, we talk about what things sell. So a lot of times, like I said earlier, people will say, "Well, I gotta clean up my house. I got a lot of stuff to throw away before they come over." You don't wanna do that. You wanna let them decide if it's trash or not, right?
Yeah, please, just focus on the green dots. That's all we want you to do. You don't have to in that moment decide, "Oh, nobody's gonna wanna buy this." That's what you're hiring us to do. So just leave it there if you don't want it. If you've decided you're not taking it with you.
So here's the slide that we have up here, Erica, that it's just a snapshot of all the things that, go into a sale. And I want to talk about the one in the middle here, Erica. Talk to us about these cleaning supplies and things.
Oh, okay. Yeah, these are some good pictures here. You know, what sticks out for me are the albums. Because they're making a comeback, y'all. Albums are making a comeback. So definitely, you definitely want to hold on to things like that. The half bottles of cleaners. Remember when I talked about, you know, we're thinking about every customer that comes through the door. So you have your cleaning companies, that's gonna save them money to buy those half bottles of cleaners.
Housekeepers.
And, yeah, the cleaning the housekeepers and things like that. So those half bottles of shampoos, you know, don't throw it away. Let us decide on that, things like that. So there are different types of customers that are coming through the door. And then, you know, the Pyrex is still a popular thing. So, that's definitely a collectible, you know, the bottles, some people's, oh, ties. I have a friend who, she did something real creative with the ties. I actually posted a picture on Instagram for her, you know. So again, it's all different things that we're thinking about that you all may be thinking about using it specifically to work with your suit. That's not so anymore. So just if you're not interested in taking it with you, leave it there. Just let us think through it and decide on that.
Yeah, I mean, even with the wine bottles that we see here, there's so many different things. Wine bottle trees, a lot of people have put those as artwork in their yards, different colored bottles. John and I went to a art thing in Bishop Arts, and we found a bottle of cupcake wine that, you know, you can pick up in the grocery store now, $6.99. And what they had done was they cut off the top of the bottle, left the label on it, put citronella inside of it, and they were selling it as a candle for $22. So it's those kinds of things that will bring you money that you don't want to just, you know, get rid of. I learned from a guy in our office that there's a group here in Arlington that likes to buy old golf clubs, and they refurbish them for the young golfers at school. So keeping that in mind, you want to let them help you decide what's going to sell. And the same thing goes for Robbie. When Robbie comes out and looks at a house that we're working on, there may be things that he knows for sure is going to sell in his auction that you don't want to miss the opportunity for him to work a deal with you to get those things to his auction, right?
Yes, yeah, you never know. Some stuff, like you said, you think is trash is worth a lot. There's somebody that collects it, you know, and there's always a buyer, usually always a buyer for it.
Right. I know.
It's ringing in my ear.
Okay. It is, ringing in all our ears.
I tried to wait. Sorry about that.
Yeah. Okay, so let's talk about another one real quick here. Online sales. So there are traditional sales, people walking through your house making a sale. There are auctions, like Robbie's here to talk about, and there are online sales. We had a house in Fort Worth in a gated community. There was not going to be an estate sale going on there because the community is against the homeowners association. So in that particular case, we had an online sale, estate sale company come in. They take pictures of everything just like Erica does. They put it up on the internet, and the difference there is that things will be bid on this way. So they start low and end high. Everything starts at $1, for an example, and you might be thinking, oh my gosh, I can't even imagine my stuff going for $1. But it starts on day one. Now I go out there and look at that bracelet and think, oh my gosh, I've got to have that bracelet. I'm going to go ahead and put $10 on it. Now somebody else comes out, they see that bracelet, oh my gosh, that's so great, my wife's going to love that. I'm going to put $25 on it. Well, what happens is by the time the sale's over, and typically they last about 10 days, there's a lot more for that particular bracelet than where it started. In this case, this house that we were working with, I really didn't even think they had enough if Erica would have been doing the sale. It was brown furniture and Waterford crystal and china and that kind of thing. But that sale brought $10,000. They did it online. So there was appointments that were set for people to come through the guard gate to pick up the things that they bought. So it was another way to do that. So keeping in mind, there's a lot of different ways to do your estate sales. Buyouts. So we're gonna talk about a couple things here. Robbie has been amazing for our team because there's oftentimes that things, not everything sells at an estate sale, as we all should expect. And where he's been a wonderful partner for us is that there are things that are left that you can sell.
Yes,
And then he will come in and tell us how that works.
just, we usually come in and make an offer on everything. We make sure the house, we don't clean the house, we make sure the house is empty. So that way, the cleaning crew can come in and stage it or do whatever they need to do. And we usually come, it's all, most of the time, one day it's gone.
Yes.
Okay, most of the time. Now, there's been a couple of times right when COVID hit, I think you'd done an estate sale at one of the houses in Irving, and it took us like 4 trips.
Yes.
Because that was the weekend the mask mandate and the COVID shut down, and you remember that? And so she sold all she could because of COVID, but then we had to go, and there was stuff everywhere still. And yes, it rained, there was toast in the backyard, and water in them. Yes, we loaded it all up, got it all cleaned out, ready for you to get the house fixed. And I think you were selling to an investor that time. And that way they could just, boom, it's done.
Right, right. And that's just been a marvelous resource because a lot of people will do a, find, what is it called, junk masters or?
Like
You buy junk?
Junk Kings or
Junk Kings.
Junk, oh, yeah. Yeah,
And so they're gonna come and they're gonna charge you right off the bat to haul it off. But Robbie does it in a couple of different ways. He'll look at those things that are left over, and correct me, Robbie, if I'm wrong. He'll look over those things that are left over and decide if there's something that he can market in his auction on Friday night. And then he'll pay something for it. Not what you get in the estate sale.
No, yeah, usually because by the time we haul trucks, trailers, and guys out there, we're into probably $500, depending on how far away it is. So you gotta take that into consideration. Sometimes we've gone and picked up from you that it's worth getting, but it's not really worth paying anything for. It's a small trailer load, we'll go pick it up. And just that way it's out of their way.
Right,
You know, so, but yeah, we usually at least try to give something,
right. So not everything,
not everything, but
not
yeah.
everything. But again, it's helpful because we've gone through this whole process in eliminating things. And now we're able to come in and have what we call our make ready, our cleaner, housekeeper come in and clean everything nice and neat so we can stage it and get it online. So it works out really well when we do it like that. Years ago, before we learned all of this through our business, my mother-in-law moved to a retirement community. It was in August, and John and his brother and my sister-in-law, she loves garage sales. They had a garage sale. My father-in-law had everything in the world in the attic, wood, you name it, big stuff up in the attic. John had to pay somebody $800 to bring a trailer out to haul that stuff off, not knowing that there would be somebody like Robbie that might be interested in selling those things in an auction and make a little money on it, right?
Yep.
Right. So here's what's important, and we talked about this yesterday. Just like Erica, Robbie would be coming out to your home to do a consultation the day before or the week before, right?
Usually it's the day after an estate sale, if there's an estate sale, or it's by appointment with you. If there's not enough, if she says there's not enough stuff to do an estate sale, then we'll meet up with you and go out and look at it and make an offer right then.
Right.
And then usually the next day is when we come pick it up.
Yeah, which is good. I mean, because it all happens quickly at that time. And then he's going to determine what he feels it's worth, and he always pays cash.
Yes.
I love that, cash. So we've got that taken care of. And like you mentioned earlier, we don't have to worry about who can we get in there to bag that stuff up and haul it out of there. He's got the labor, he comes with the truck, gets it done, and in a lot of cases, leaves it room swept, just like Erica does, so that it's not a mess that we have to figure out how to come in and get it ready. They do a pretty good job on getting that done for us. And then tell us about the other side of your business, the auction side of your business.
We're a traditional auction house. We don't set minimums or reserves usually. Occasionally, we might have a piece with reserve, but we have an auction every Friday night, so what it brings is what it brings. You know, I'm like, Eric, I can kind of tell you what something's gonna bring before it gets there. You know, a dresser's gonna bring $40 to $75, depending on what style it is. You know, dining table's gonna bring $25 to $100. You know, you've been doing it so long, you just kind of know what the prices are.
So how do you merchandise these things?
We set everything up and we take pictures and we have our own web page, and then we also advertise on, we have our own Facebook page. So, people know, and we're there every Friday night, so people know every Friday night. Usually Thursday evening, they'll check the web page, check the Facebook page, and then they'll show up.
Well, if we come early, are we gonna be able to see the stuff that's gonna be in the
We
auction?
open up, our auction starts at 7:30, we open up at 6, so people can touch, feel, look at it, see what's there, that kind of stuff. And, then we start the auction at 7:30, we usually run to about 10 to 11 at night, depending on how the bidders are bidding and how much stuff we have.
What if I've gone to your website, I've seen a couple of things out there I'm really interested in, but I'm gonna be out of town next week. How, can I do something with that?
Yeah, you can either, usually you can either text us, my cell number's on there, or you can call the auction, and the gentleman answers the phone that works for me, he will write it down. I have one lady that since COVID started, she doesn't come at all, you know, but she still has the buying habit. So she will text me, she will, yeah, her whole backyard's full of stuff. She is but it's good stuff. She will text me pictures and give me a bid on it, and then I even have to deliver it to her. So, but she pays quite well for deliveries. That's the only person I really deliver to, and it's right by my house.
Oh.
So, it's convenient. So it's not like I have to go far away. Yeah.
Well, you never know, one of these days you may get it back to sell.
Right? Exactly.
So, the other thing I wanted to ask you about, and by the way, Auction Block, you can find them on the website, auctionblock.com.
Auctiontx.com.
Auctiontx.com. And they have, just like Erica would do, they've got their things listed out there that are going to be coming up in an auction. What is a buyer's premium? What does that mean?
Usually a buyer's premium, when I first started in auctions, there was not buyer's premiums, but, as it's gone on, it helps just cover the cost of labor and building and that kind of stuff. And it's charged strictly to the buyer, not the seller.
Oh, okay, so if there is something that a buyer wants and they don't live in the area, I don't have to pay to ship it?
No, yeah. Everything, only thing that the seller gets charged for is commission. Either commission if you bring it to us, which normally if you bring it to us, it's 30%. If we pick it up, then it starts at 50%, depending on how far away it is and how much stuff is there.
Okay.
Yeah, but we prefer to actually do a buyout if you have a few items, because that way, if it gets stuck on a trailer, it may be there 2 or 3 weeks. Okay, because as you know, it's a estate sale season right now.
Right.
There's 75 to 100 going on every weekend.
Yep.
Okay, so if it gets stuck on a trailer for a couple of weeks, you're not calling me and saying, hey, did you sell my stuff? Hey, did you sell my stuff? You know, that's the reason we prefer to do the buyout part, but we will do the other way if we need to.
Okay,
So.
all right. All right, so what about this? I look at this way, a second chance sale. So I kind of look at you as a second chance guy, because if Erica can't sell it,
Right.
it's going to get a second chance through you.
Yes, so yeah, and it is, we've had stuff one week at the auction that we couldn't get anything for. And like Eric said, if you move it, we move it from one side of the auction to the other, and it brings money. You just can't ever tell, from one week to the next. And that's just the way it rolls.
So, I mean, the obvious is that you can help people dispose of things, but what's the benefit for both of you? What's the benefit, Robbie, for somebody using your service?
Well, if you put it in storage, if somebody puts it in storage, you're paying on it, and we picked storages up before where people have paid 20 years on it. Well, at that point in time, you could have bought that brand new 3 or 4 times over. okay? There's no, if you don't need it, storage is good for short term. If you're trying to declutter a house and you're moving someplace else and you know it's gonna fit, then that's great. But if you're gonna put it in storage and think, well, I'll get it later, then you're just throwing money away in this instance. You might as well get some money out of it. So, you know, sell it at an auction, or sell it individually, and then you can buy whatever you need then later new. Yeah.
How about you, Erica? You want to add anything?
Yeah, first of all is the convenience, because there's a lot of labor involved, whether you, even if you do a garage sale like they talked about, in the estate sale, there's a lot of labor involved, so it's definitely the convenience of it. And then think about it, you know, we're on this mental health thing, because you're overwhelmed, you got a lot of other things going on, especially if you're in the downsizing process, right-sizing process. You know, you have a lot of other things on your mind, so take that away. You know, that's just one thing that's you're going to take away off your to-do list. And then think about moving expenses. You know, that estate sale is definitely going to help with that. I just got an email the other day from my last client. She was like, oh, it was way more than I expected. This definitely helped with the moving expenses. So think about that relief, just that relief, to relieve some anxiety that you already may have going on and things like that. So many benefits for just hiring those services out.
Absolutely. So alternatives that we have here. So we've given you lots of different ideas today, just things to keep in mind. If you've got a homeowners association with restrictions, that's probably the case where you're going to do either a buyout from someone like Robbie, because you can't have a sale, so you don't want somebody to come in and get rid of it, or you want to do an online sale, because the online sale is going to be the one that will get you traffic by appointment, but they've already seen all those things online. You need to have a sale before you move. That might be another way to do it. If you're doing an online sale or with Robbie, you've got stuff that you already know that you need to get rid of. He may, and you want to get something on it, he may be able to help you with that. You only have a few high-end items. So here again, that may not be the case where Erica needs more to do a sale, so that she's got, you know, an estate sale is more than furniture and dishes. It's a lot of stuff, a lot of good stuff, right?
Oh, yeah, and we like to have a good mix of things. So, you know, pick out the few jewelry pieces that you want, you know, that you treasured, and bring the others to the sale. You know, just different lamps. You know, it's not just furniture. So we're thinking about everything, and toys. You know, your grandbaby's toys that, you know, they don't come over that much anymore. If you want to throw those in the sale, and we invite kids to the sales, because again, they help their parents, you know, they taught their parents into buying stuff, so one all, good for kids.
Yeah, because I just say, well, if you allow kids, I love kids. Yeah. I mean, Erica, if I have a few things and Debbie has a few things, but we don't have enough to do an individual sale, do you have a solution for that?
In 2 different locations?
Well, could I bring my things to her house?
You can do that. You can definitely do that.
But you're not gonna bring my things to her
I'm not
house.
gonna bring your things.
Okay, well,
Yeah.
it was worthwhile asking, you know. And why would somebody do an estate sale versus consignment?
I think estate sale is kind of a, you know, one-stop shop. Let's just get her done, to get it all out, you know, in that bulk time, you know, in that bulk thing. Consignment, you know, you kind of have to play it out, and then I think you have to remember, because a lot of read those contracts, because you have to remember to go get your stuff. Otherwise, they're probably not going to call you if it doesn't sell, you know, if you wanted it back or something like that. They're probably just going to keep it. So their contract is a little different. So it's just more convenient for the estate sale, because you're not having to think about any of it.
Some consignment houses, I just learned this recently, as someone was looking for that, you may be able to deliver your things to put on consignment for like the first 30 days. But then if it doesn't sell, then they're going to charge you for the next 30 days. Because remember, you're taking up merchandise space for them. So you're renting the space to sell those things that you want them to sell for you. So that's another place to make sure and check that out. Okay, so as we wrap up here today, start small, a little bit at a time. It's hot right now, right? A little bit at a time. Find a room in your house that you feel like I can make that my staging room. I'm not sure yet, I'll come back to it later. For now, I'm gonna stick it in that room. Set limits, don't try to do it all in one day. That's the part that I think a lot of us, today we're gonna get up, we're gonna get this done today. We just wanna do a little bit at a time, because remember, we're gonna try to reminisce and think about those things that we want to pare down. Only keep the things that bring you joy, and it's okay to ask for help. Sometimes having someone come out, for example, like Elizabeth, she has no attachment to your things. So it's gonna be easy to work with someone like that who can help you figure out, do you really need that? Whereas for you, you can't make that decision. So ask for help if that's what you need. And now we have a time where we can ask for questions, Q&A, we'll do a few questions and we'll do our drawing. So in the back.
I wondered if Robbie would give us his address. I didn't see any.
Robbie, your address.
I got some cards.
If he has some cards, he'll make those cards available for us. Okay? Vic?
You remember-
Yeah, I have a question. What about, things, I'm gonna call them consumables, like paint, old texture paint, and
Yeah, usually paint and stuff we do not mess with because it's so hard to get rid of.
that's what I was wondering.
Yeah, that's about the only thing we'll do. And a lot of times if you're selling your house, they're gonna need that paint maybe to touch something up.
Well, yeah, it could be a lot of little ones, or
Yeah.
kerosene, or, you
Yeah.
know, turpentine, so it's
Some of
up to
that
the
stuff-
homeowner to get rid of that.
Yeah, and most of that, yes. Turpentine and stuff like that, we can box lot it at our auction and people will buy it, because if they're redoing furniture or something like that, they'll use it to strip or clean brushes or something like
Sure.
that. But, you know, we try not to take, if there's a whole bunch of paint and stuff, we just can't do anything with it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think like if you have a workshop, you know,
Yeah.
you get all these little cans of paint.
Yes.
Erica, how often do you add things to the sale? If somebody's having a estate sale and they've only got so much stuff, but your company has leftover stuff from other sales, do you add that to a sale? Do you ever do that?
I think some companies do. I do not. I don't keep any leftovers, so I don't really have anything to add to a sale.
Okay.
I just don't.
Yes.
And some do. They may section off a part of the house where these are the things that are going in this person's sale and others. Our online company, they have a warehouse and they will take those things and kind of keep them together to do a second chance sale, and then they'll bring those into a second chance sale.
For an auction, do you have somebody available to help load things?
Yes, at our auction, yes, we do.
Yes, but for an estate sale?
At a estate sale, our team will help load to a certain extent, you know, the team that's on site, as far as if you're talking deliver the items, we just partner with people, that can deliver the items for a fee.
But you do have small.
To a certain extent, we don't encourage it, because if it gets damaged, you know, it's on us, but if we want it sold for that client and get it out the door, then, you know, to a certain extent, for the most part, we will.
I have two things. Mission Arlington will take expired medications to use in their clinics. And I wanted to know where the auctions are held.
In Rendon, which is between Crowley and Mansfield. A lot of people don't know where Rendon's at, it's a small little town. It's off of, Debbie Lane, turns into 1187, and we're 3 miles east of I-35.
Okay.
Yes, you say.
So I have a question.
Debbie Lane, did you say?
Debbie Lane, yes, ma'am.
And which way from there?
If you go down Collins, or go down Cooper to Debbie Lane, hang a right. And keep going.
West.
Yes.
West. Okay, roll west, my friend.
I have a question about pricing, for estate sale purposes or something. Do you have something like, perhaps like a piece of artwork or an antique piece of furniture, something, valued either antique wise or something? Do you have access, or do you consult with like an appraiser in any way? Or is that the seller, the owner's responsibility? And if you do, does the person who's wanting to sell have an opportunity to agree, okay, I'll go for it or not?
Yeah, at the end of the day, it's always, you all's decision on how you handle that. But yeah, we can tap into any type of those resources. What I always recommend is before paying an appraiser, because we don't take on that expense, let us tap into our resources first. Like I said, the high-end auction house, Heritage Auction, they'll give you free feedback on if you post a picture or go into their office, and they'll give you free feedback, as far as that goes. So, and again, we have access nationwide to appraisers and estate sale professionals, I should say. So let's go that route first before paying,
So you do that
a
first,
professional.
as a courtesy, you reach out to these people with knowledge.
Oh, yeah.
And then you would tell the person who's selling.
If
okay,
it's
we're worried
something,
about X number of dollars, and that person then could say, okay, I'll put it in the safe.
well, yeah, we kind of have that, and so you kind of committed to putting it into the sale already. So that's probably a conversation we would have, because some families will say, oh, well, if it's worth that much, let me just sell it myself and don't give you a commission. So we don't want that. We're gonna have that conversation.
I think another thing that maybe she was leading to though, also, do you allow her to have a reserve? So if she says,
Oh,
it's
yes.
gotta bring, if it doesn't bring $350, I want it back.
Yeah, and I allow that, a minimum 3 items. I don't, in the contract will state that, don't go over 3 items, because it's a turnoff for the customers. Reserve, that's definitely a turnoff, but I do allow it for a minimum of 3 or less. So, yeah.
So Robbie, would you have the same thing if a person they wanted a specific price for it?
We try to be generally an auction house where we sell it. Now, occasionally, that said, we have had a couple items, if we know it's worth X amount of dollars, and long as the reserve is not, if it's worth, like, say, $1,000 and you're wanting 900 for it, it's not gonna happen. But if you come to me and say, hey, we think this is worth $1,000, I'd like to get at least 200 out of it, I'll say, okay, I think we can do that. We do it on very specific items, just because if we move it and take it down there and then it doesn't break the reserve, then we gotta get it back to you somehow. Either I guys, and I have to eat the cost, or you're gonna have to pay somebody to come get it. So, and you can't really look at auction, you can't really look at what you paid for it. You just gotta look as, I don't need it, I don't want it, my family doesn't want it. Now let's just go on and move on down the road.
It's kind of the same thing with real estate. It's what the buyers perceive the value to be. You may say my house is worth $1 million, and your buyer says, not to me, I want your house, but I'm only willing to pay 8 for it.
I'm thinking specifically of antiques that I've inherited and.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's just like Erica said, if we have an auction that has a whole bunch of reserves on it, it takes the same amount of time to sell it as not sell it. And when we're only selling a limited window from 7:30 to 11 on Friday night, time is money. We're wanting to just roll through stuff and sell it. Yeah.
But in auction, you are actually, starting it at like $1 or whatever.
Oh,
But with the estate sale, they're actually assigning a price.
Right.
So I'm asking, does the seller have an opportunity for certain things to say, well, that price is not acceptable to me, so I'm not gonna include it.
Yeah, we don't, not at our auction, we don't need to do it. There are some auctions, and like, that's the way to do it kind of towards East Texas. They'll auction it and they'll say, well, I can get $10 for it. No, I can't sell it for that. They'll let the buyer do that, but we don't do that at our auction.
Yeah, well, but on the estate sale, they're actually putting a price on it.
Yeah, they put a price on it, but.
I
not
see what you're
arrogant,
saying. Yeah, that's a conversation, again, that's a conversation we're gonna sell, because I will specifically tell you, if you don't like the price on something, let's talk about it. Don't pull it out the sale. I'm gonna tell you that, because you have committed those items. So, and I can explain to you why we're pricing.
Are you committing? If I have a marble statue, I'm just gonna give you an example.
Yeah.
Let's say I have a marble statue, and I'm saying, I'd like to include this, and you're setting the price without my knowledge of what the price is going to be.
No,
And I can't commit to letting you sell it if I don't even know what price you're gonna put on it. And if I find it, or you find that it's worth more, do you see what I'm saying? Am I committed? Maybe just because I had that piece without knowing what you're even going to ask for that particular.
well, I guess it depends on the situation, because most of my clients have the opportunity to come before the sale starts and see what everything is priced. So we have that time to have that conversation. We have that time to have that conversation.
But you say being committed, I'm hearing something that
Okay.
you're committed before I even know what price you're gonna put on it. And that, for
Well-
certain things, doesn't.
So, but, and I want to say something about that too, though, when you are having an estate sale, you're counting on the person that's having the sale for you to have the knowledge to know how to price things. If they're not coming and you've already put stickers on everything and said, this is what I want to sell it for. Because that makes it hard for them, because remember, they're doing this every single day, every week. Whereas you may say, but I spent $5,000 on that.
Inherited.
Well, yeah.
We could be one in the whole wide world.
Yeah, if it's something like that, on the front end, you're gonna say, oh, that's where you would say, I don't wanna take more than this for it. That's would be a reserve item or something like that.
Committed, and that's where I'm saying I'm committed before the sale price. You know, or what you're going to put on it.
At the end of the day, it's your stuff. Yeah, let's put it that way. At the end of the day, it's your stuff.
Let's take two more questions. That'll be more of an offline for you too, I guess. Let's take two more questions because we want to get to our drawing today. We've got a lot of nice things up here. Jim,
Who manages online auction?
say it again.
Who manages the online auction?
Who manages it? Well, the estate liquidator that has the online auction service is watching those bids every single day. And in Robbie's case, you're not doing online.
We have, when COVID started, we did online for a while. We had the capability to do online. We just tried doing live auctions.
Yeah.
Right now.
So they
We
like
have the
live,
capability to do both.
right.
But, yeah.
And I think Erica's dabbled with the online as well a little bit.
Yeah.
And then there's people out there that's what they do, that's their specialty, is online auctions. And so they're watching, and then Jim, in their case, they're watching, there's a certain time frame that those things are out there. So they're watching those, and what ends up happening typically is on the last day, within the last few hours is when things start to really go. And so they watch those items, and they may say, well, the auction ends at 7, but all of a sudden that one item is really going, so they extend it 15 minutes. To see, until they get to a place where they've got something that they can work on.
Software that I use, if a bid's bid on the last 2 minutes, it automatically extends another 3 to 5 minutes.
There you go.
depending on how you set it.
Now, one more question.
Do you have a name of a company that does that?
Yes. Okay, we got one more question. Yes.
Do you, ever do any online, auction on the premises?
We do. The problem with that is advertising, and then parking. Advertising, to run an ad in the paper, you're talking $500 to $800 to run for like an estate sale on site. We've done them. We've done business liquidations on site. You gotta make sure you got parking and the area, and there's enough space to set up, and you don't have to worry about the weather. Because if you're gonna do it outside, around here, it can be sunny 1 minute, raining the next.
Right.
But the reason I asked that was my niece, whose parents passed away, early for young. My brother-in-law, my sister, and my mother. She inherited everything. So he had a wood shop filled with machinery, and she's not able to come today, but I'm asking that on her behalf.
Yeah.
Because she's got like, I was just lathes and machine.
Something like that would probably be better to do, would be better to probably do it online. And I can do that too, just a matter of, I'd have to look at it and see how much work's involved in setting it up. And then you have to take all these pictures and stuff. It's a little time consuming, but it's not bad.
Things that never happen up to.
Okay, all right, so so we're going to be wrapping this up, and here again, they'll be here for a little bit afterwards if you want to ask specific questions. Our next seminar is going to be September 9th. We're going to be talking about technology, all the things that are out there for us technology-wise. We've got some great guest speakers for that. Then we're going to talk about senior benefits. Again, we've got some great speakers. And then we'll end our year this year in November with scams, which is a great time for us to talk about that, because that's when those things happen. Medicare insurance changes, people are calling you, shopping, all of that. We want to look at what are those scams that are out there for us, and so that we can be aware of them. So fill out your feedback, if you would please.